this Bugatti, which is clearly in half. We did the impossible. But now it's going to get a lot harder because everything from now on is building the car and fixing it. We've got all the damaged parts off. Everyone thought that was hard, but it weren't.
What happens when supercar manufacturers refuse to help their own customers? After spending over $1 million on a Bugatti, owners may discover that a failing gearbox is sealed and nearly impossible to repair independently. Mark McCann's attempt to revive a broken Bugatti Veyron follows Mat Armstrong's earlier challenge to the brand's restrictive system. Their efforts expose more than expensive repairs. They reveal how manufacturers maintain control over owners, yet skilled outsiders are proving that even Bugatti's toughest barriers can be broken. The sealed gearbox wall. At the heart of Bugatti's latest nightmare lies a fundamental engineering choice that few outside the company were aware of until recently. The Bugatti Veyron's gearbox is designed as a completely sealed unit, impossible to open or repair in parts. Unlike most high-performance transmissions that can be serviced or rebuilt, Bugatti's approach forces owners into an all-or-nothing situation. When the gearbox starts to fail, the only official solution is a full replacement, a costly and daunting proposition. This design decision transforms what should be a serviceable part into a near-impossible hurdle for owners and independent mechanics alike. This sealed gearbox is not a temporary policy or a door slammed shut by Bugatti's business strategy. It is embedded in the car's architecture, the complexity and precision of the drivetrain, built to handle the monstrous torque of the quad-turbocharged W16 engine, are so extreme that the manufacturer deemed internal repairs unfeasible. The transmission's engineering involves dissimilar metals like steel and aluminum, which can deteriorate if contaminated, creating conditions even Bugatti's own technicians cannot address on-site. This means that once corrosion or damage sets in, the gearbox risks becoming a hydraulic and mechanical disaster behind a sealed shell. The implications for owners are staggering. Instead of receiving transparent repair options, they face a wall of silence or astronomical quotes for full gearbox replacements, often priced near $300,000 depending on the model. Even wealthy enthusiasts who purchase these hypercars are left vulnerable to this locked-in fate. This situation calls into question long-held notions about luxury, service, and ownership in the hypercar world, where the cost of maintenance is not just financial, but also a test of patience and ingenuity. What makes this sealed gearbox issue a particularly charged revelation is how it intersects with Bugatti's relationship with customers and independent repairers. The company's refusal to facilitate internal gearbox repairs or provide detailed support to non-factory service providers leaves owners stranded. It signals a shift from manufacturer-customer collaboration to an environment where control over the car extends deeply into prohibiting independent fixes. This dynamic will soon be seen as more than just a technical hurdle. It is at the core of the conflicts unfolding behind the scenes and on YouTube screens. Mark McCann's case is a glaring example of how this sealed gearbox wall stops even the wealthiest and most connected owners cold. But before diving into his story, it's important to look back at the first major challenge to Bugatti's fortress walls, the one set by Mat Armstrong. His bold move to rebuild a crashed Bugatti Veyron ran headfirst into this impenetrable barrier that Bugatti had carefully crafted over decades. Mat Armstrong's trailblazing defiance. Mat Armstrong's story began as most would expect. A highly skilled, determined independent creator taking on the impossible by attempting to rebuild a crashed Bugatti Veyron in a modest garage, without official factory credentials or support. Many assumed Armstrong's effort was an anomaly, a singular showdown between an audacious mechanic and an unyielding institution. But what unfolded on camera was far more consequential. Armstrong did not just repair a single car, he created a blueprint for independent repair and exposed the limits of Bugatti's control over its vehicles. His project quickly became a symbol of defiance, showing millions that the manufacturer's walls were not as impenetrable as previously believed. Armstrong's persistence, skill, and refusal to accept corporate roadblocks sent ripples through the supercar world. Despite careful statements from Bugatti's CEO and official silence from the parts department, Armstrong demonstrated that with enough expertise and stubbornness, even the most protected cars could be tackled. His attitude, "Let's see what we can do," captured the spirit of rebellion against the automotive elite's restrictive policies. The significance of Armstrong's challenge was not lost on Bugatti. It forced the company to publicly address the issue, though always with carefully worded responses that stopped short of admitting vulnerabilities. Yet the real impact was a visible crack in the fortress, seen not only by enthusiasts, but lurking within the industry itself. Bugatti had spent decades maintaining an aura of unassailable authority, but Armstrong's work revealed a chink, inspiring others to follow. The contrast between Armstrong's humble garage setup and the factory's vast resources highlighted a changing era where access to knowledge and creative platforms like YouTube empowered independent creators. His journey illustrated that passion, patience, and technical acumen could bypass official channels and give audiences and owners new hope. Armstrong's defiance was less about confrontation and more about proving a new way forward in a world tightly controlled by manufacturers. Armstrong's story, then, is the first part of a larger narrative that cracks open the idea of what independent ownership and repair mean in a time of hyper-controlled automotive technology. It set the stage for others who would come to face the wall Bugatti had built. Among those, McCann stands out for how he took up the challenge with a very different style and background. While Armstrong worked his way from salvage and sweat, McCann entered this arena with a distinct confidence and a lavish arsenal, yet the barriers he faced were startlingly similar. McCann's high-stakes gamble. McCann's approach to the Bugatti challenge was bold and considerably louder. A multi-British and world champion racing driver, McCann built his YouTube presence around extreme cars, daring projects, and fierce challenges. His estimated $13 million car collection, featuring a $1.6 million McLaren P1, is a far cry from the budget-strapped garages Mat Armstrong operated out of. Yet, when McCann acquired a Mansory-modified Bugatti Veyron for approximately $1.22 million, he encountered the same unyielding obstacles that grounded Armstrong. What made McCann's purchase extraordinary was not just the price tag or the rarity of the Veyron, but the car's battered backstory. The hypercar had sat disassembled in two separate garages for over 3 years, defeating a string of previous repair attempts. It was a spectacular machine transformed to mimic a Pursang version by Mansory enhancements, costing more than $400,000, but was now fragmented, gearbox dead, missing hardware, and with damaged panels. Worse still, much of its supposed carbon fiber was actually poorly applied vinyl wrap, a cosmetic deception compounding an already serious mechanical scenario. McCann, equipped with deep community connections rather than public listing searches, discovered this hidden gem through word of mouth, underscoring how secretive and specialized this supercar world is. He wrote the check, aware of these monumental challenges, fully understanding he was stepping into a gamble that had broken others before him. What drove him was a spirit identical to Armstrong's, refusing to bow to the status quo or accept defeat. Delving deeper into the car's issues, the gearbox emerged as the epicenter of the problem. Years before taking the Veyron apart, it had ceased to operate correctly, unable to engage reverse gear. Specialists soon uncovered signs of galvanic corrosion inside the gearbox housing, caused by chemical reactions between steel and aluminum components, exacerbated by contamination from prior repairs. This corrosion slowly degraded the transmission until it became a seized, debris-filled, hydraulically compromised mess. When McCann reached out to Bugatti for assistance, The response was a stunning demonstration of the company's policy in action. Bugatti could neither repair nor rebuild the internal components of its gearbox. The official solution was to replace the entire sealed unit, a replacement that could cost close to $300,000, an amount almost inconceivable in addition to his purchase price. Moreover, after weeks of trying to get a direct price from Bugatti, McCann was met with silence, forcing him to declare publicly that they were essentially left to fix the mess on their own. The resemblance to Armstrong's ordeal was unmistakable. Bugatti had responded with the same refusal to engage or support an independent repair process, illustrating a firm, unyielding stance. McCann's entry into this saga proved that wealth and status do not grant special access or solutions within this engineered system of control. The manufacturer's wall was no less imposing for a multimillionaire. With the help of a Dutch engineer named Pascal, McCann embarked on a painstaking mission to restore the Veyron gearbox. Utilizing CAD drawings and precision custom manufacturing, Pascal recreated critical clutch plates and gaskets, demonstrating that despite Bugatti's intentions to keep repairs in-house, independent expertise armed with modern technology could challenge the sealed unit's supposed finality. This effort speaks to a new chapter in automotive defiance, one where clever engineering meets industrial opacity head-on. The battle to reclaim the heart of the Veyron takes us deeper into the story of how control, innovation, and determination collide around Bugatti's most protected secrets. The galling cost of replacement. When the gearbox on a Bugatti Veyron fails, the financial consequences are staggering. Because the transmission is sealed and cannot be repaired in parts, owners face an inevitable need for a complete replacement. The price tag for this can approach $300,000 depending on the specific variant of the gearbox. This sum is more than many pay for an entire luxury car, underscoring the immense complexity and engineering that goes into every component of these hypercars. The transmission's design must withstand the massive force generated by the quad-turbocharged W16 engine, which delivers unparalleled power and torque. This makes the gearbox one of the most sophisticated mechanical systems ever produced on a production vehicle, contributing to both the impossibility and costliness of repair. Every element must function flawlessly under intense conditions, which adds to the reason Bugatti sealed the unit entirely rather than designing it for serviceability. Though this level of engineering might justify high costs, it also leaves owners in a frustrating position. Unlike other manufacturers that allow internal repairs or partial rebuilds, often at a fraction of the cost, Veyron owners must confront the prospect of paying the full replacement charge every time the sealed gearbox shows signs of failure. This raises troubling questions about ownership, especially for those who invested millions in a supposedly elite supercar. McCann, facing this reality, sought a straightforward price for the replacement gearbox after realizing the extent of his car's damage. Yet Bugatti remained silent, refusing to provide even a quote or a clear timeline. This stonewalling was deeply frustrating, forcing him to publicly admit that he and his team would have to navigate repairs without Bugatti's assistance. The lack of transparency and support from such an exclusive brand felt like an additional blow alongside his mechanical troubles. This replacement cost not only strains owners' finances, but also impacts the long-term preservation of these rare vehicles. As parts age and wear accumulates, sealed units risk becoming ticking time bombs of unrepairability. The hedge against maintenance freedom creates a system that discourages owners from independent fixes or restorations, consolidating control within the factory or its authorized service centers. Furthermore, the necessity of a full drivetrain teardown for replacement compounds downtime and labor expenses. Owners can expect months of waiting and millions of decisions about expense, mechanics, and eventual resale value. The gearbox, which should be a durable core, becomes a financial and logistical bottleneck that shadows every decision about maintaining the car. In this light, the The sealed gearbox policy may contribute to an unintended decline in the practicality and enjoyment of Veyron ownership. It challenges the notion that extreme engineering always translates to better ownership experiences. Instead, it reveals how cutting-edge design choices can generate barriers that limit usability and frustrate even the wealthiest enthusiasts. This reality sets the stage for understanding Bugatti's broader corporate strategy, one that shields the brand at the expense of its owner's autonomy. The company's approach to engagement regarding these issues is reserved and calculated, reflecting an intention to safeguard its mystique rather than aid troubled owners. Behind these high costs and opaque policies lies Bugatti's carefully crafted silence and strategic control. Bugatti's silence and strategy. Bugatti's response to repair challenges faced by owners like McCann is characterized by a persistent refusal to engage openly. Even when approached multiple times, the company declined to provide repair quotes or offer clear support for independent work. The silence speaks volumes, indicating a deeply entrenched corporate stance. Control over repairs is non-negotiable, even if it alienates owners. This strategy prioritizes brand image and exclusivity over transparency or customer convenience. Such reticence is consistent with Bugatti's long-held posture of exclusivity and tight authority over its vehicles. The manufacturer treats its cars not simply as products, but as vaulted artifacts, designs guarded to avoid perceived dilution of quality or brand prestige. Allowing independent repairs or openly assisting in complex issues could be seen internally as compromising that control, potentially leading to exposure of vulnerabilities. Industry observers note that Bugatti's refusal to assist independent repairers is not just a policy, but a strategic signal to maintain centralized power. The company's engineers and dealerships are the sole legitimate authorities over these hypercars. This gatekeeping maintains customer dependence on official channels, reinforcing Bugatti's market positioning as ultra-exclusive and resistant to outside interference. Yet, this strategy risks creating a growing divide between owners and the manufacturer. Frustrations raised publicly by creators like Armstrong and McCann reveal cracks in the relationship. When customers are left to fend for themselves against massive technical hurdles, it threatens Bugatti's reputation for exceptional service and luxury experience, potentially sowing seeds of mistrust. For owners, this silence translates into uncertainty and isolation. Without clear communication or assistance, they must rely on their resources and networks to solve critical issues. This environment nurtures a DIY rebellion, where influencers and engineers circumvent the factory's fortress mentality and demonstrate that solutions, though difficult, are possible without Bugatti's blessing. The company's guarded approach also shields internal engineering secrets, preventing detailed technical knowledge from becoming publicly available. By monopolizing the flow of information, Bugatti maintains the mythos around its technology, but at the cost of consumer empowerment. Owners who want to maintain or restore their cars independently face walls of secrecy that extend beyond cost into knowledge and capability. Nevertheless, Bugatti's unyielding silence is increasingly challenged by the connected world of automotive influencers and enthusiasts. Their public platforms shine light on issues once confined behind closed doors, forcing Bugatti to reckon with this new reality. The tension between corporate control and owner autonomy becomes a larger story about innovation, transparency, and evolving customer expectations. As external forces press in, creative minds rise to fill the void left by Bugatti's silence, turning frustration into ingenuity and marking the next chapter in this ongoing struggle for control and restoration. It is within this clash of silence and ingenuity that independent experts like Dutch engineer Pascal come into play, revealing the limits of even the most formidable corporate walls. Outsiders fighting back. When Bugatti closed the door on official repairs, independent creators refused to accept defeat. McCann's collaboration with Dutch engineer Pascal exemplifies a growing movement of ingenuity challenging factory control. Pascal, armed with CAD drawings and advanced manufacturing techniques, began replicating the bespoke clutch plates and gaskets essential to the Veyron's gearbox. This effort represents a remarkable intersection of modern technology and old-fashioned determination, proving that even the most sealed systems can be unraveled with enough skill and persistence. The significance of Pascal's work goes beyond a single repair job. Bugatti's sealed gearbox strategy was designed to prevent anyone but the factory from opening or servicing these complex units. Yet, through precision engineering and reverse engineering, independent experts are breaking that monopoly. This is not merely about fixing cars. It's about reclaiming ownership and autonomy in an industry increasingly dominated by closed systems and proprietary designs. These breakthroughs require more than mechanical know-how. They demand patience, creativity, and a willingness to embrace risk. Producing exact replicas of critical components to the tolerances demanded by one of the fastest and most mechanically complex road cars ever built is a triumph of engineering craftsmanship. It reflects a larger shift in the relationship between owners, independent specialists, and manufacturers, where knowledge and capability are no longer confined behind corporate walls. McCann's story now unfolds as a testament to perseverance and collaboration. With Pascal's help, the seized gearbox was slowly brought back from near ruin, piece by painstaking piece. Their work reimagines what is possible outside official channels and offers hope for owners facing similar mechanical black holes. This independent revival challenges the idea that only factory technicians can service these machines. More than just a single success, this partnership reveals a cultural shift. The rise of accessible digital tools enables a new generation of automotive rebels to document, demystify, and tackle problems once deemed unsolvable. Their efforts resonate widely, inspiring communities of enthusiasts who see this as a battle for transparency and freedom in a market ruled by exclusivity. This growing defiance also pressures manufacturers to reconsider their stances. As more independent creators demonstrate successful repairs and part reproduction, the demand for openness increases. The spotlight on Bugatti's gearbox saga may encourage other brands to rethink policies that alienate customers and stunt innovation. Change, fueled by public scrutiny and practical proof, is often slow but inevitable. The story of McCann, Pascal, and the Veyron gearbox is still being written. But one thing is clear: the era of unquestioned manufacturer control is fading. Independent engineers and creators are carving out a new future where passion and precision meet to challenge the status quo, shifting power back to those who cherish and care for these extraordinary machines. Bugatti's sealed gearbox was meant to keep owners locked out, yet creators like Mat Armstrong and McCann have proven otherwise. Their stories reveal the hidden cracks in even the most exclusive automotive fortresses and remind us that determination and innovation can rewrite the rules. If you found this journey through defiance and engineering fascinating, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories where passion meets perseverance.